You can even look them up on their websites and their ranks. That is not a civilized. That is not civilian. Civilian. The constitution has a principle of civilian superiority, military subordination, civilian authority. But the opposite happens in practice, especially in public service. So I'm telling you, even men guarding a police station at CPS when there is some peaceful protest in town can be police officers. I wrote this one to the IGP recently in a letter. I can share it so that you know what is happening, even in the police. At many police stations, you have both former soldiers there and informal soldiers, whom you could call CMI, whatever you call it. At court, in one of the court processes, I think it was 23rd and 20 July 23rd, July 26th, we had soldiers at Uganda Road Court. We have soldiers physically going into our courts. So yes, we have militarization. We are under a military siege, and we need to at least speak about it. Lawyers should stop being silent about these issues. We should speak about it, and I'm happy there are some people speaking about these issues in a US presidential race. Thank you. I hope I have explained that point. If I have not, please let me know.
I think you've prosecuted it quite well. We do appreciate. Isaac, can you be able to add on that?
Thank you, Ronnie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
I'm sorry, I had technical glitches that made me lose a chunk of the opportunities and wonderful speeches from my colleagues. No disrespect to them, I didn't really get much of it. I got bits and pieces while I struggled with my clearly overloaded phone. I'll have to get another one to manage this load. This is clearly overloaded. So I don't know how to jump in here. Last, I remember you asked me to deconstruct the demilitarization portion of our manifesto. Can I start there, maybe?
Sure. Actually,
Ronnie?
it's what I had also put Yasin and Aaron.
I don't know. Rudy, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Demilitarization. Okot, you can try to speak to Isaac. Maybe he could pick your sound. He seems not to get mine.
Yeah, Isaac, we can hear you. But he's muted. Isaac, you're muted.
Ronnie, I'm still struggling with the same technical glitches. I can't hear anybody.
Okay, as you fix that, we have some people that wanted to submit. We have Tumwesige. Tumwesige, the mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Ronnie. I think my brother Chiza Aaron has really elaborated on the militarization of the society. And let's not run away from the reality that is not under any law. Look at what my brother Chiza Aaron talked about. In the current regime, you cannot become a judge, you cannot become a registrar until there is an ISO report on you, until there is a CMI report on you. Reports are being done right, center, and left, and being put before the president to determine whether somebody should become a judge or should become a registrar. That is militarization of our institutions as the judiciary. And as the head of Uganda Law Society, when he says he wants to demilitarize the society, I think he's coming from that angle. We have had situations, you remember when our courts are being attacked, right, center, and left. Somebody is granted bail. Before you know it, somebody is being arrested from the court premises. They don't even allow such a person to move out of the court premises. They don't even issue summons. They don't issue anything. And when you ask police where this person is, the police will tell you the person is being held at CMI. So,
But to Masije,
yes,
sorry to interrupt.
please.
But where will the ULS under Isaac Semakade, for that matter,
Yes.
get the tools to combat this? Are you going to get guns to
No.
to take on
You,
the military? How will you handle this?
see,
Because clearly it is extra legal,
yes.
even in the current setting.
Mm,
So what do you think can be done differently by the ULS to demilitarize these particular aspects of the militarization?
we had a situation when the court was attacked by the Black Mamba. ULS decided to go on protest and not attend any court until that issue was solved. But
I like the way you're
but
thinking.
for the last
Hmm.
5 years or for the last 10 years,
Hmm.
we have had such a situation. But every day we have such a situation on courts. The ULS, we go back to court the next day and things normalizes. ULS, we must have a
Hmm.
voice as protectors
Hmm.
and guardians of the rule of law to make sure that anything that
Hmm.
is done illegally on courts, then the persons or the society to come out and condemn it is Uganda Law Society. And I believe ULS under Semakade will be capable of looking at it in that manner. That time when the black members attacked the court and the president Yoles came out and organized all the advocates not attend any court, that issue was addressed. But we have had a sleeping Uganda Law Society where a rule of law is being attacked and all we do is just write letters. Letters have not helped anybody. But if you have a situation where a minister is being arrested and he has nobody to apply for him or her bail because the executive has attacked the judiciary, then they will hear us. We need a voice that is combined, and I believe under Semakande, we will have that kind of voice.
I think you've really prosecuted your points very well. Um, Now, I want to just build on that very point you've brought forward. Let's say industrial action for the ULS members, which could be rightly championed by the leadership of the Law Society. So now, my question then is, of course, your judicial members, judicial officers are part and parcel of the
Yes,
ULS, right?
yes.
So, if the judicial officers that are currently in the employment of government do not um, participate in the said industrial action, what remedies does ULS have?
You see, uh, like any other
Hmm.
society, when one
Mm.
group falls in for the industrial action, there are those who will not come out to, even when they know that what is being done is right.
Hmm.
If judicial officers don't come out to be part of the industrial action, which is their right, for us as
Hmm.
ULS would have put out the voice on their behalf. You see, there is a saying that
Okay.
when they came for
Hmm.
the when they came for the Jordans, I did not speak because I was not part of them. By the time they came for
Mm.
me, there was nobody to speak for me. So if the judicial
Mm.
officers don't join in, we will let them be. By
Mm.
the time they come to arrest the judicial officers, there will be nobody to speak for
Mm.
them. So for you, every time you look at something and you say, I will not go because I'm not part, by the time
Hmm.
they come for you, there will be nobody left to speak
Mm.
for you. For us as the Law Society under Semakade, I believe we will speak for them. If they don't join, by the time they come for them, there will be nobody left to speak for them. Even the Law
No,
Society
go.
will still will look at them like that.
Let me tell you.
So every action
Okay,
has a
Semakade, can you?
consequence.
Okay. Yeah. To message, I think you make a lot of sense. I do agree with you. Now, I will give you examples from Kenya. I am well versed with Kenyan politics. In the reign of Nelson Harvey. Nelson Harvey was a rabble rouser. During his time at the helm of the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, he he actually championed a number of reforms, but then he got a lot of pushback from the state. Yeah, so there was a lot of uh, Isaac, can you hear me? If okay, you've muted. All right. So
Just
the
speak through
state
card the
tried to
switch.
create divisions amongst his executive at the LSK. Um, do you foresee this standing in the way of these kind of reforms and transformative actions that you guys are pushing for?
Just speak
Because
through the
I'm sure
cage.
it is very possible to happen. I mean, here in Uganda, it's also very possible.
That's what
Maybe
it,
if I jump
that,
in there, let me
okay.
say that
Yes.
whenever you do something that is a threat
D O
to the
D O K
interests
E
of the
K
oppressor,
E T C
the
H
oppressor will push
T
back,
C H.
the oppressor will
Mm,
mobilize. Indeed, the ultimate test of whether a presidency is doing the right thing is whether the state is pushing back. If the state is so comfortable with the Law Society leadership, it's an indictment on
mm.
the Law Society leadership in circumstances like ours. It will be proof that they are heeding their promises if they go through.
I think that there is a quote there. You are saying whenever the state is comfortable with the society leadership, it's an indictment on the law
Very
society.
Yes,
true.
yes.
Very true. Very true.
I like that. I wish Okot could help us to tweet that. Uh, that's a nice one. Uh, okay, so to message you wanted to still throw more light on that.
No, I was only saying
Mm,
what Aaron has put is very true. Once the state is comfortable with the leadership of the most especially law society, not any other society, law society,
mm,
then it's an
mm,
indictment on the leadership. Because the state will always use,
mm,
let's differentiate between government and the state. The state will always use whatever means available to
mm,
grip itself in power. It's the duty of
mm,
law society to make sure that the rule of law is always protected. Because the judicial members, members of the bar, members of the bench, we all belong to the law society. So every time you find the state, not the government, the state, being comfortable
mm,
with the leadership of the law society, then it's an automatic indictment on that leadership.
mm. Perfect. I get you. Isaac is trying to join into another account, but I'm unable to find it. Isaac, could you use that very
I think
account?
it's Kadokech.
I think you can help me to accept if you have seen it.
Let me. I'm trying to.
I was unable to see it. Uh,
Maybe they can
yeah.
request to
Uh,
speak.
Earlier on in his submission, Isaac did allude to the fact that the law society needs to be as busy as, okay, lawyers, not the law society as such. He said lawyers need to be as busy as engineers and other professionals throughout the year, not just, as and when there are matters in court. So now I want to believe that the law society is one such vehicle that could keep lawyers busy and help. He also said that the law society's primary role should be to midwife the state. Yeah. So I would okay, he's Okuma is connecting. So I would like to really know from you, at the moment, what would be the most urgent legal measures that the law society could take, whether in form of reverse lawfare or otherwise, to achieve the demilitarization objective. Um, uh, Tumwesije, okay, Council Isaac, are you able to speak through Okumo?
Perfectly. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
All right.
You still haven't dealt with the demilitarization from your own perspective. We've heard from your team.
Yes, I thank
Anything you'd like
I
to add?
thank them for setting setting the table. Well, it's linked to decolonization. What we call the state in Uganda has its origin in Captain Lugard's loot on behalf of his colonial masters, the Ibeco, the Imperial British East African Company. Captain Lugard has designs, has extensive literature on Uganda. Captain Lugard was a genocidaire who became very popular in Europe for conquering what we called Nigeria. And when they needed him to come and beat the Ottomans to the source of the Nile, he was the man for the job. You see, the Ottomans and the Europeans were in wars of civilization. So he was asked to stop looking for publicity and get on with the business of expanding the British Empire through the Ubeko Charter. And he said when he came to Uganda, he built the military, most of these barracks, you call, they are his. So his vision of how to lead these people around Victoria is compulsory reading for those who want to understand how to start demilitarization. There is so much from colleagues who are speaking. There's so much concentration to the now. We should avoid being slaves to the now. The problem of demilitarization will not, be effectively solved if we restrict it to General Museveni, who doesn't have much long to live, by the way. But it will remain. So we need to understand the tributaries. We need to pursue the tributaries of militarization first and foremost. As a matter of conceptual understanding, we are attorneys. We can't limit our source of knowledge only to what clients instruct us. As I said at the beginning, in the first space, our primary duty is to contribute to the midwifing of a capable state. And the state that we call Uganda is a product of fraud, trickery, and violence. It is innate in the way they made the boundaries, in the way they look. So it's not to
Isaac, can you hear me? Your sound seems to have disappeared again. Okot, can you hear Isaac?
Can you hear me now? Am I
No,
back?
no.
We can't hear Isaac.
Yes.
Am I back?
Go ahead.
Am I back?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
had you gotten my thesis properly? Yeah, maybe we can converse, I don't like monologues. What have you picked so far?
Sure. Yeah, no, you're actually making a valid point, which I personally agree with.
All right.
You
Those
said the
who,
militarization did not start with Museveni.
yes.
Yeah. So so you expound on it. You are taking us back to Lugard.
Yeah, those who had us in the first part understood the coups as I mentioned them. All right. You look at Democrats. You can look at the dilemma of father of the nation, Dr. Apollo Obote, who really believed that he was part of a chosen class of African leaders that would midwife a capable state. They took their responsibility seriously. But look how they ended up resorting to militarism to execute an elite bargain. Okay? We have to learn. How did Obote fall out with Dawoodi Ocheng? Why would they settle their problems militarily? And that continues. I have heard Aaron call himself a friend of mine, but not a close friend. That's militaristic. That's militaristic. Aaron and I are closest friends. There's nothing to separate us. Okay? I picked Aaron from theater of war. From a theater of war. I saw him engaged in a militaristic act. We didn't have regulations at Uganda society. We used to fight boxes. And I saw Aaron's courage on the floor, saying this is robbery. He was just a new entrant at the bar. I didn't talk to him much. But later on I got a chance. Aaron filed a case on demilitarization. He sued to challenge a military appointment in cabinet. I wrote about it.
mm,
Kayihura's Aronda
mm.
Nyakahima's appointment is illegal. You can
Mm.
Google the article. You know?
Yeah, okay.
Aaron is the sole attorney at the bar which arranged it. I found him at the extra general meeting where we had gathered to issue a certificate of incompetence to the AG. And I put him aside. I said, soldier,
Mm.
do you have a soldier among these people to represent you? And he said, no. So I told him, what does that tell you? These people don't understand the militarization. I bought for Aaron a book, the reading book on military and states. It's me, Aaron. I am your closest of friends. Stop speaking.
Isaac, I think Aaron might.
Maybe Aaron can respond to that.
Mm. Mm. Isaac, can you hear me? We have lost Isaac's sound. Aaron, would you want to respond?
Aaron.
I don't think I want to respond to that. It's just that, yes, we have been in the trenches together. We have been in the trenches together. That's what I can say. And me, what attracts me to this space is the issues, not our friendship or the lack of it. Because I don't want to say whether I'm close, whatever, Isaac, whatever the level of our friendship.
What do you say,
I am
Aaron?
happy, and I am happy. I am happy that we are talking about military dictatorship. I'm happy that we are talking about lawyers' costs in a presidential race of the US, because that feels unprecedented. This is a great opportunity. Let's discuss these issues.
Aaron, I hear you. I hear you. My point is the point of intellectual honesty. You haven't told the group that I, Semakade, bought for a book called Soldier and State. When you told me as a young
Isaac,
lawyer.
Isaac, you are
Yes.
going off. Yes. Do you
Please
want me
tell
to
them.
tell them what I've done for you? You want me
No,
now
it's
to?
okay.
No.
I was a bit offended
No,
by
Isaac.
the caveat you put
It's enough.
on
It's
our
enough.
friendship.
It's enough that we discuss these issues, because it's not about me. It's not even about you. It's about the
Right
country,
now, it's
the
about
law
me.
society.
People need to
We
understand
can
my
have tea,
commitment.
Isaac. After here, we can have tea and talk about our
No,
friendship.
people need to
But
understand my commitment to the platform I'm setting. You are a
and
testimony.
who is
You have
doubting it?
deprived them
Who
of
is
an
the
essential testimony into my mind, into my praxis. It is only with
Isaac?
you.
You are an avowed human rights lawyer. Everyone knows that. I can repeat it 1,000 times. If there is someone
Anyway,
doubting it,
okay.
I just don't want to comment about your character here.
So let's go back to demilitarization. So demilitarization requires us to
All right.
understand the thesis of Hutchinson in Soldier and State, that the military is not an enemy. Okay? Yes, the military is not an enemy. They see themselves as legitimate, a legitimate instrument of delivering a capable state. Okay? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the military sees itself as it has its shining examples. For instance, you look at the state of America, which we call a democracy. It celebrates the military. It celebrates its militarism because that's how it was born, through two great wars. Through two great wars. Abraham Lincoln, a great lawyer, had to become a great general. Okay? He had to understand the partnership with General Ulysses and so others. So we have to stop being petty about these things and understand that these two guys too are educated. They think that if they leave politics to hashtag merchants, we shall crush the state over petty things like a big bummed woman. you know, uh, petty bourgeois interests. So they also have a legitimate stake. It's an ideological battle. How do we then settle the contestation between who is the foremost disciple of delivering a capable state for their people?
Mm.
There is a branch which argues that only the military has the purest interest and intent. And there's a branch which argues otherwise. And there's a third branch which argues that there's no point of a superiority. We can do, a workable equation, and so on and so forth. So these conversations known as elite bargaining, which we haven't had at a structured level for a long time, like I said, because for oftentimes, given our history, lawyers either exited or they were reduced to doing peripheral things like bail and others, and so on, and so there's suspicion, mutual suspicion. It has played out here from all the
So
colleagues.
Isaac,
Yes.
I would like
Yes.
to put a question to you, which has
Yes.
come from one of our listeners,
Yes.
Susan Nambozo, who has commented on the thread for this space. You can help me for now to have
Come and help me.
So you say, I got this on some platform. That feedback is, I think, Isaac, coming from the side. You can mute.
You want me to mute?
Yeah, just mute. I read and then you can unmute and speak to it. Okay. So she says, I got this on some platform. Can candidate Semakade respond to the concerns raised, especially on the relationship between the bar and the bench? And how exactly does this candidate intend to ensure access to justice for all and welfare, then better remuneration for young lawyers? I think the issue of remuneration and I think you have handled that. But then the issues that she's referring to are from a certain WhatsApp group where someone said, think of our professional relationship with the bench. A crazy guy who insults judges can't be my president of a professional association. Never. I am not that stupid. Anyone who supports such craziness risks to break up the association. Some of us can't belong no more. Never. And then another one says, Sema is very quarrelsome and speaks too much. He said he is the woman in any given relationship. And then another one said, I can't even imagine a president. I think this one of abusing the judge, we have already dealt with it. So would you like to speak to these accusations? Are you the woman in any relationship, so to speak? You can unmute and speak to us, Isaac.
Yeah, we have to understand that until our colleagues have arrived at the decolonization stage of their de-brainwashing, they will remain slaves to prejudice, bias, caprice, and so on. So let us not, major in those minors. They entitled to their opinion. As long as it's an opinion, I'm not going to challenge an opinion. Let me read for you the.
I think, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The doctrine of freedom of expression recognizes at its core a freedom of opinion. All right? People's opinions may be subject to change at any time, whenever they want. So let us resile all worry to the notion that through our deeds, people's opinions will change. All right?
Just help me to reduce the sound on the device.
To reduce.
It is what is bringing the echo.
Okay. How about now?
Just put it down, put the sound down.
Am I doing it right?
Just reduce the volume to zero.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is that okay?
It's still coming through, though.
Is that okay?
Away.
Well, I can't hear you. Is that okay now?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
So
all
I was
right.
saying
So
that
I think you've responded very well on that one.
yeah.
Definitely,
So
I'll
we
build.
leave that.
Yeah.
What else was there, if you may?
I
Yes,
want to bring
the
in
one
Anthony
about
Najib. I
judges.
think he has a question.
The one about
Before
judges.
Anthony comes to message,
Yes, the one about judges.
stand up.
Yes, you had a question before, but let's first hear the person here.
To
Okay.
message before I can come in.
Yes, thank you. I've seen what Susan has put in the comment, which he has got from a WhatsApp group of advocates. I think it's advocate three. Now, I don't believe that somebody wakes up and goes to court to abuse a judge. I don't want to believe so, because somebody wants to to measure on the minors. Sometimes a person who goes to court, I don't believe you wake up in the morning, dress up, go to hear your client's case. All you intend to do is to abuse a judge. One day you are conducting an election petition, the judge gives you a chance to cross-examine, and the judge tells you, I don't want you to take that direction of cross-examination. And my thinking is, you have given me, if you didn't want to if you didn't want me to ask certain questions, then you had the right not to grant me a chance to cross-examine. Then what do you expect at such a moment? Sometimes there is that heated passion during that practice. Sometimes you fail to to control your temper at that heat of a moment. But that does not mean that somebody has woken up from home to go and abuse the judge. Let people not let's not measure on the minors. I don't think that Semaka they woke up in the morning and went to abuse the judge and said, now today I've gone to abuse the judge. No. Just such a person.
I think it was not even in court. It
It
wasn't
was
during
not
court
even in
proceedings.
court.
It was
It was on
it was
it
on
was on
Twitter.
Twitter. Now let's look at let's look at let's look at what somebody is saying, that he's a woman in every relationship. If somebody says I'm a woman in every relationship, then have you interpreted the meaning? Have you given it a deeper thought to know what a woman does in every relationship? I think in every relationship, Semakade, when Semakade says I'm a woman in every, he's talking about how he's going to be royal once we vote him as the president. To us, the members who have voted him, he's looking at it of how he's going to be submissive to the members of Uganda Law Society. He is trying to bring the society, or he's going to become a president whom every member can approach. So once you say I'm a woman in every relationship, let's interpret. Let's not look at words and give. Let's try to see the mischief in the words. If a woman is the Bible says a woman should be submissive. If Isaac says I'm going to be a woman in every relationship, it simply means he's going to be submissive to the members of Uganda Law Society. He's going to be a listener. You know, women are listeners. He's going to be a listener to us, the members of Uganda Law Society. A woman is always putting his children first. That means we are children of the president. The president is going to make sure that members come first. Now we got issue of remuneration of young lawyers. Let's know that what a senior lawyer knows, the young lawyer knows 50% of it. I'm a person who believes that young lawyers should be facilitated to work, but should not be paid salaries. Every time you look at being paid a salary, just to know you are heading for disaster. A young lawyer can draft a plaint, a young lawyer can draft an agreement, a young lawyer can. So once you get a chance to be given where to be facilitated, go out in the jungle, do it. But every time you look at a senior lawyer paying you a salary, a senior lawyer paying you 5 million per month, you will never break even. Let young lawyers ask to be facilitated, to be given where to sit, to be given things to make them work. Let's not look at salaries, salaries, salaries. What has killed this country is every time somebody looking to be paid. Those days when I was still being employed, somebody was paying me 15,000 per every Friday. But I never complained because I was looking for where I can be so that I make it on my own. Let's not have this issue of young lawyers, some of them are using the young lawyers to think that they will be paid a salary. Young lawyers, let me tell you the honest truth, which you are not being told. What do you know, the senior lawyer knows, and nobody will ever pay you a salary that satisfies your need. All you need is this is a legal profession. Argue a case, finish it. If you win, well and good. Tell the partner, I finished this case, they are paid as costs. I need half of the costs, or I need 80% of the costs. That's how you make money. But every time you want to be paid a salary, it
Okay.
becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the issue of remuneration of advocates, we have discussed it earlier on today. I thank you so much for your passionate submission to my CJ. We had Anthony. Anthony, you seem to have dropped off as a speaker. I don't know if you had a question or um, something else to add on. But then I want to, in the meantime, I will swing back to Isaac.
Yes, I'm here.
Isaac,
I'm here. I can.
I think you have many devices in the same community. So that's why the echo comes through every.
I have what?
You have many devices that
Devices.
have
All
their
right.
volumes.
All right.
You need to turn down
Okay.
on some of the devices.
Yes.
So in the meantime,
All right.
you can mute and then
How about now?
better.
Ron.
Much better.
Yes.
Okay. So I.
Isaac, let's take the question from Anthony.
All right.
Yeah. So, Ron, thank you so much for organizing this space, and I'm really pleased that a lot of lawyers are on it and expressing their opinions freely. I feel like a lot of non-lawyers have been sidelined by these conversations. Yet, I want to tell you something. The lawyers enrolled in Uganda are not close to 100,000. I do not think so. But what the Law Society stands for is passionate defense of the rule of law. The Law Society is the last backstop that citizens have against impunity. So voting for a Law Society president is not an exercise in voting for just the interests of the legal fraternity. It's an exercise in voting and reshaping the nation's narrative in as far as rule of law is concerned. You know this lady, the Kenyan president of the Law Society. In the midst, yes, and I'm sure she's your friend. In the midst of state brutality, in the midst of a state that forgot its constitution, and the president says, I need to put the military on the street. Kenya had a new elite bargain that Isaac was talking about with the incoming of the 2010 constitution that redefined the interaction of the state and its citizen. The executive is going to be always interested in protecting its stronghold on power. So it's all manner of tactics to get that. That's what Isaac was talking about earlier when he talked about, you know, the military is bargaining with the citizen, is bargaining with lawyers, is bargaining with all these other interests. Statehood is collective bargaining. Now, that collective bargaining is underpinned on the law, the supreme law being the constitution. You need an organization that protects that. It's not the courts, because the courts are presided over by people who belong to the law society. If the law society took away the practice certificate of the chief justice, or the law council took away the practice certificate of the Chief Justice, he should cease to be Chief Justice. So then that tells you that the last line of defense for any democracy, for any citizen, is the law. So voting for a president of the Law Society is not about who I like. It's not about who speaks to me better. It's not about who whispers to me nice, sweet lullabies at night.
Anthony.
It is about who can protect the interests of the citizens
Anthony.
using the
Anthony,
law.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Aha. At that
Yes.
point, I want to ask you this question. There is a lady who has put on the thread saying we still need clarity on how Semakade will address the concerns about the relationship between the bar and the bench if he takes leadership, as his leadership would make for a contentious relationship
Yes.
in light of his history, abrasive style, and thus make things harder. But before you answer it, I wanted to just bring this out. Why should it be a burden on Sebakade to answer this, and not and why shouldn't people burden the bench that should be actually the bigger person in the room? Yeah. Why are people thinking that this
Also,
relationship can only be made to work if it is Sebakade? Yeah. Go
also,
ahead.
you see, Ron, even your answer misses a very crucial fact. Semakade, the bench.